I probably won't be spoiling the surprise if I tell you that Nitro Voodoo has just won the 2022 Bursons Australia Top Fuel Motorcycle Championship. This is Chris Matheson's 8th national title and his 5th in a row. Year after year for the last decade, this team has raised the bar in top bike, setting and resetting the national record. So now Chris holds the track record at every level 1 track in the country. Clearly, he is the man to beat, with a target on his back. Chatting to Chris, he strikes you as a pretty laid-back guy, very approachable, not taking it all too seriously, chatting with the fans, hanging out and helping fellow competitors, hosting the barbecue and just joking around. But I know a different Chris. He takes this sport very seriously. Weeks of preparation going to every round. So every race, every pass, he and his dedicated team are fully focused on just one thing.
Win. Yeah.
You don't plan to go, oh, we just might skip the podium this time. And...
No. Win.
The mark we leave on the sport in Australia or even worldwide is in our hands today. So the importance of everything we do is critical. It's showtime now, guys. We're good at it, we know how to do it, we've done it a long time. Let's not get lazy, let's focus, keep focusing on it.
So let's have a quick look at the season in review and see how it all unfolded. Round 1 was in my hometown, Sydney. So the excitement's still there when you get on it then?
Oh yeah, well, when I get on it at the line and the guys start it while I'm lying on it, you know, all the pain that you have sitting here talking to you, I'm in a lot of pain from age and injuries over the years. When I go up there and they start it, you're 18 again, you've got no pain. You're only thinking about what's about to happen and what your job is. That's euphoric.
It's not to be though. A bit of a technical issue, let's say, in first qualifying, and the bike just won't get up on the tyre. The bike puts down the power this time, but it wants to turn right towards the Wetherill Park waste disposal facility, which is bad. And in qualifying 3, nobody improved. The only decent runs were Rob Cassar with a solid 7.09 on his nitrous Kawasaki, and Danny Rickard having his first run on the Brass Balls Harley with an 8.11. Things will have to step up a bit if you're going to win. So now we have 3 rounds of racing. It's not elimination, so all the bikes do all 3 rounds. The winners of round 1 and 2 with the fastest times will go into the final. Round 1 and Chris is up against Danny Rickard, who will prove to be a fast learner on his Harley.
600 last time out on this motorcycle, and he'll be hoping that the next pass comes up with something starting with a 5. He'll be taking on Danny Rickard.
But once again, it's a bit messy, with the bike showing disturbing right-wing tendencies.
It was a lot closer than what we probably thought it was going to be. A 767, 144 miles per hour. Matho really had to ride that one. It was out of the groove, it was over near the wall. You could hear him rolling in and out of the throttle.
So it's effectively a solo run for John Zara. John's 7.53 is still well below what he's capable of, but it's still quicker than Chris's 7.67 at the end of round 1. But the money man is Smokin' Rob Cassar, who runs another 7.0, with a PB this time.
His run up at the start line, so to speak. This is on a pretty clean pass, all things considered. A 7.03, that's another PB for him.
Chris has another objective this year, the elusive sub-6 second pass, which he's been chasing for a decade. He has reset the Australian record many times, and now it's 6.007. Right now, though, with nobody running even a sub-7 all weekend, that doesn't look likely. So it's round 2, and right now we need a solid low 6. It's Chris versus John.
John Zara hopefully doesn't hold him up too much here. Chris Matheson on a good run. What's the number? A 6.51, just over 199 miles per hour. Got a little bit excited there. It looked like it was on a decent run, but it was a little bit lazy on the front half of the racetrack. 1:18 to the 60-foot time.
You can see them both of them there. The head comes out to the side for Matho. Zara there has to get off the throttle, though, and try and twist it back on.
And so we get to the final round. Chris makes the final with his solid 6.51. And Rob Cassar has been consistent 7.0s all weekend. This should be exciting. But first up, John Zara has to try to get a clean run in the race off for third place against Danny Rickard.
2 people power to get that back, so horsepower to keep on top of that and get the momentum up from that standstill start. Rickard there, bit smaller tyre.
It was pretty clean for John Zara. He has a couple of stabs at it.
It's not to be though. Another untidy pass, and the man with brass balls runs a solid 7.8 to win the B final. And so we come to the A final. Rob Cassar has not gone slower than 7.0 all weekend. The slightest glitch and it'll be all over.
Despite Matho getting the wins, it hasn't made it down the track under full power. The candles are lit, Matho's underway. Oh no, he's on it again.
And he gets there first to 6.71, 183 miles per hour. Rob Cassar was right there with a 7.05. Absolutely, he wants the win, and there are plenty of other races that want the win. Chad Nayline, I'm sure, is down there with one of them.
First round of the series, and you come away with the win. Didn't look like it this morning.
Never give up.
No.
I've been in that position many times, a lot worse than that actually. We've actually crashed here and done all-nighters to fix the bike to race the next day, so it could be a lot worse.
It's round 2 of the Australian Top Fuel Championship. Chris has driven 17 hours to Mildura in Victoria. It's a track the team has not been to before, so it's going to be challenging. Also, we're only running half track, 660 feet, as the runoff isn't long enough for a full quarter mile. It strikes me there's a whole lot of variables here, like you've changed the weight balance, you're at a completely new track, there's seams in the concrete, there's a whole lot of other things to look at. It's just highly unlikely it's all going to go smoothly.
No, that's right, it'll be a muddled mess for the first couple.
So how do you approach the first qualifying round then?
A lot of fear, because I don't know what it's going to do.
The man to beat is local hero Rob Cassar.
Who's the track record holder here?
Yes, I own the track record.
Right, thank you.
At the moment. Apparently, at the moment.
They line up for the first qualifying pass. Rob in the left, and it doesn't go very well for Chris in the right lane.
Ready?
Yep.
Oil pressure. Fire!
That's a good qualifier.
Hey, still hold the track record, buddy. Got the mile an hour record too.
You
so
rip-
ET and mile an hour. 156, 156.
Awesome.
Thanks, dude. Are you called in the burrow?
Yep. Yeah.
A little bit here, maybe.
What other jigs in the tree here?
Nothing I can do, it's just falling over.
So for the second and final qualifying session, the boys make quite a lot of changes. Sadly, Corey's bike hand grenades. But Danny puts down a good pass to be third qualifier.
Did I just hear something about a track record?
Apparently so.
Oh. How does Rob feel about that?
Well, he's not happy.
You're feeling a lot happier now, aren't you?
Oh well, I'm alive. Makes a big difference.
A bit slow off the line, my reaction was slow, drilled me on the lights, and because we're only going half track, you know, it's very hard to run someone down.
Righto. So you're feeling good about today?
Be good once this heat goes.
You got any psyching out techniques you want to share?
Plenty.
Do you?
Yeah. That's one.
I'll keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
So you cut a good light, like under a tenth of a second?
Yeah, it's 0.92. Chris comes around past me and scares the Christ out of him, so, you know.
Oh, you get that? I hate to say this, but how's your track record looking? Oh.
Don't talk to me about that.
Anything can happen, mate.
Anything can happen.
And something does happen. There's a big question mark over Chris's motor, Rob's lost his track record, Corey's hand grenade can't be repaired, and Danny's burnt his foot in qualifying last night. Nitro's a bit like that.
How's the foot? All right?
Robin?
Is it?
Nah, it's all good.
Hope it's all right. Not wearing thongs this time, I'm glad to see.
No.
Nice.
Good.
Have a good, safe run.
Thanks, dude.
Which he does, but loses to Rob Cassar, who runs a personal best 4.50. Chris, as fastest qualifier, gets a solo run. And overpowers the track again at the 60-foot mark.
Just a bit too much power for the track. Smoke the tyre. Not good enough. We've got to win the next one. Yeah, win the next two to have any chance of getting enough points.
So the scientists go back to the lab to find out why and fix it. But then the unpredictable nature of drag racing on the switch from methanol to nitro and electrical gremlin. So the plugs have to come out, crank out the nitro and try again. It's a solid 4.2 second pass, but he missed the start, so it doesn't count. One round of racing to go, and even though he can't win the event, he still needs the points for fastest speed and best elapsed time. The crew are confident they found and fixed the electrical problem, so Chris has one more shot to get the most points he can out of this round. Now Rob only has to stage his bike at the line to win the event, but what the hell, he doesn't hold back.
And Rob, congratulations.
Yep.
You weren't going to just stage the thing and roll through the lights, were you?
Blokes like Rob make it all better.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wild ride. It'd be interesting to have a look at it, Stu.
Okay. Did he do a good job? Did
Of
he?
course he did his job. He hung on to it and got himself home in one piece.
I'm glad I'm alive after that.
Yeah.
There's a grenade. They even put fireworks on for me.
Chris didn't get his 3-second pass, but he's bagged a swag of points and he's still up the top of the championship ladder. Next stop is the Motorplex in Perth.
That was the drive over.
Long, just under 59 hours. Came over by myself in the truck, but it was a good trip, plenty of time to think.
Nitro bikes are very popular here in the West, particularly the Harleys, and the competition is always strong.
So what are you hoping for this weekend?
Some good clean runs. This one's the most decorated V-twin in the world. It's done 624s before, so hopefully we can turn it up. We'll get a good enough track, we'll turn it up for that.
Running down the 660s at about 330 k's, so no, it's come along pretty well now. Chris, I'll be out there, mate. You stuff up any little bit, I'll be right on you. So you would have a good clean run, or else you'll be toast, mate. So good run, mate. Yeah, have a good one.
I'll see you down the other end, mate.
Phew. Cool. Overpowered it.
Yeah, just out. When the ignition all came back in, it was just too much for the track. The first part was all right. And then I sort of got back on it, pedalled a bit to try and get a better result, but it was too late.
Couldn't run down Greg. I bet he was chuffed that he...
Yeah, well, that might be the first time he's beat me, I think. So that's good for him, yeah.
Wayne's 6.9 is a solid start though, and the big Harley sounds very tough. Two qualifying rounds to go. Until rain.
It's like trying to ride on a beanbag. Whereas if the clutch doesn't slip too much, it moves quicker, and it's once you get out, it's like a magic carpet ride. It's a lot smoother.
Okay.
So the bike goes straight and does what it's supposed to do.
It's such a fine art. I mean, the last round at Mildura didn't really have one good run, and same here so far. I just look forward to one just straight and true.
Yeah, it's tricky. We've been doing it a long time. It's still tricky. Even when you dumb it down, it's still,
more than enough power for the
more
job.
than enough. Yeah. We'll never see its full potential because we can't hold the tyre on the track.
A little bit right, but I don't want you out here because if you do drift right a little bit, you've got plenty to come back.
Yet again, it's an untidy run from Chris. Danny's improved a little, but he won't be happy with a 7.7.
A little bit disappointed in that last one. We thought we got a good 60-footer, it hooked up, but we've overpowered it a little bit further down.
Unexpected problems for Greg as the Kawasaki stalls in the burnout, as does Les Holden's Harley. Ricky Wood's Kawasaki crosses the centre line, and Big Wayne McGuinness's bike doesn't even make the start line, but still remains top qualifier. And so we go straight to eliminations.
We got to try and manage that power to the track. It's just one tyre to the track, and learning how that track reacts to that tyre and the clutch is it's been one of the hardest things I've ever done. But anyhow, we'll get there. We'll make this happen.
Well, first or last?
Ricky Bobby.
Danny knew that to have any chance he had to nail the start, and he did, but to no avail, and the Nitro Voodoo machine puts down, finally, a clean pass. And it's an absolute ripper, less than a tenth of a second away from that elusive 5-second pass.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. She hooked up, got straight and stayed on the gas as much as I could. Shut off a little bit early, put a little bit more in it, in the middle I reckon, for the next one.
So that's the track record?
Got to back it up.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so I need to run another one quicker.
Good.
It's worth driving over here 59 hours to get a good run like that.
The event's not over yet though.
No.
That's right. A good time.
Yeah,
We've got 2 rounds to go.
Well, maybe only one, I think.
I'll be up against Matho, so I'll have to turn it up a bit, I think.
You got more in the tank, have you?
Oh yeah, there's more there. The problem with running against Matho is I can't hear my bike. The noisy bastard.
So once again, it's Chris and Greg. This time, Chris needs not just to win, but to back up his track record, or it won't count.
Can we go back? This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Matheson takes down Greg Duran and runs a 6.009.
Well done, mate.
Thanks, Dewey.
Which just leaves Wayne, who again has no competitor in the next lane, but it all goes pear-shaped, with the big Harley turning left and refusing to come back, so he's out.
One more, Stu. Survived another one.
What do you got to say for yourself?
New track record. Not a bad one either. 6009, yeah.
So all Chris has to do is cross the start line and he's won the event. Nothing to gain and everything to lose.
We put these on for you and the fam.
Yeah. Congratulations, brother.
Well done. What an awesome thing. Congratulations. You guys talk about it all the time. It's the best track in Australia. Well, we travel around to all of them, and it is. I can tell you it is.
It's round 4 of the Bursons Australia Top Fuel Championship, and we're back at Sydney Dragway. For once, the weather is kind to Sydney, and we have good conditions, cool, dry, and no wind. We're hoping for some great side-by-side racing.
To me, it's a big thing racing, Chris, you know. But he's set up to run the big numbers. That's what keeps me going, otherwise I'd give up. So you just try and try and try. Trying.
Coming off the back of a fabulous Perth round, we're hopeful that Sydney's extra grippy surface can finally deliver that elusive 5-second pass. So let's move on and look at qualifying. The first qualifying pass is a bit of a schmozzle, and for probably the first time in his life, Chris leaves early. The bike just doesn't want to sit square on the tyre, so it's not a great pass. John's bike has a fluid leak and isn't allowed to start. No time is recorded for either.
Anyway, try and put in a good show on the next one so we can qualify. I go good in pressure. We'll be right.
There are only 2 qualifying rounds, and the second qualifier is better, but the bike again lights up the rear tyre about 100 feet out and gives the motor a big rev, about 11,000 RPM. It normally sits around 9,000. Off the throttle, back on again, and a 6.63 is actually quite respectable. It was a pretty solid launch though, so that's encouraging. 3 rounds of racing for Top Bike today, 1 in the afternoon, 2 in the evening. There's always a crowd to see a nitro bike fire up. But once that particularly caustic smell gets in your eyes and nose, the crowd suddenly disappears. If you can't deafen them, gas them. And so it's time to race. Chris versus John again. Well, it's a little messy, but it's a win. 7.135 at 209 mile an hour. Once again, traction is a problem, this time almost immediately after the start.
Got the wheel speed that we were chasing, which is good.
At what point did it start to smoke it?
About 1.28 seconds, 1.25 seconds.
Okay.
So we went to 60 feet in 1.05, so yeah.
We're all set to go, but there's a problem. There's been an incident with one of the top fuel cars and there's a long delay. We wait almost an hour and a half in the staging lane while the track gets colder and colder. A 5 is not looking likely. This is getting harder by the minute.
Either way, we're going to light some candles as the back end waggles its tail. He's off and back on and runs it through the top end.
6.11 at 329 kilometres an hour for Chris Matheson.
When the bike gets loose, Chris is off the throttle at 300 feet, and it's almost half a second before he's fully back on the gas again. To run a 6.1 under those conditions is exceptional. We all know it. On the right track, on the right day, Chris and his bike are going to annihilate 6 seconds. But that day is not today. The next round is only 2 weeks away. And once again, Chris is taking the Big Kenny on a 1,000-mile road trip. Nitro Voodoo has a pretty handy lead in the championship, but it's by no means over. If Rob Casser has a good weekend and we don't, it could go down to the final in Darwin in a few weeks' time. It's the first time here for many teams, including us. And then the crowd arrives. It's huge, and before long the venue's at full capacity. So much to see, with amazing show and shine cars and a whole range of races, from junior dragster to street cars.
Big 12 Merlin in it.
Decent track by the look of it, better than we thought.
I don't know. Let's see when the fuel cars go down.
But that bit where you tested, there was plenty of rubber on it, but I'm nervous how that it's going to peel off. We've got to get out further out there and see what it's like,
It's an untidy run for both races.
Nice down here, Rob. It's a bit slippery. I'm surprised the fuel cars went as well as they did.
After his misfortune last time, Corey's new motor is sounding tough. That may not sound like much of a pop, but believe me, it was big.
It's got to have hydraulics.
Well, we hydraulic, spun the back wheel, rods went everywhere, aluminium went everywhere. It's come. Oh. Yeah,
oh. Awesome.
This is a very important round for us. We've only got one more round in Northern Australia after this, and in between we've got the Winter Nationals in Willowbank Raceway, so we don't want to bin it here today and then miss the Winters and miss the grand final, so we've got to be very careful what we do.
But soon after this, the riders meet to take stock. Corey is out, of course. and all the remaining top bike competitors decide that there isn't yet enough rubber right down the track. So with regret, all the teams decide to save it to play another day. Safety always comes first. This means that Chris now has an unassailable lead in the championship, and for the 8th time and the 5th in a row, he will be Australian top fuel champion. So this week, Chris is doing something different. The pressure's off to some extent, so he's returned to his home track at Willowbank for the Winter Nationals. This time last year, he ran a 6.007.
6007!
And as always, he's keen to improve and impress the local crowd. It's the largest drag event in the Southern Hemisphere. Without any further ado, let's head straight to first qualifying against John Zara.
That's a solid run and a 6.23 for Chris Matheson. He might have just tagged the finish line cones there. He's got his hands full trying to get that bike stopped.
Chris was a bit squirrely. It was a good time though, but obviously it doesn't count.
Yeah, no, a bit of a fizzer. Got off pretty well, but I didn't quite judge the crosswind down the other end, so I took out a couple of cones, unfortunately. Sorry, track guys.
John's bike has broken a timing chain, so there's going to be a lot of work for his crew. Mark Drew's first run, though, is very exciting.
Blew the tyre off, but gets back in it. And goes across the finish line. Still goes 7:38 at 149 miles an hour. Sounds of the racetrack. $6.58.
Not as fast as the first round, but at least this time it counts.
We're back on track with Chris Matheson though. But there's one milestone that he wants to claim. I'm not going to say what it is. Everyone knows what it is. I'm not saying it. No commentators curse. $6.02. Oh, so close. 225 mile an hour, Chris Matheson. We held our breath. We held our breath here in the box. 6.02 seconds. It wouldn't be a Winter Nationals without Chris Matheson running a 6.0 second run. That's very close to something that begins with a 5, and he just did a burnout in the fire-up area as he rolled forward and coasted. What is going on with Chris Matheson? Hell of a burnout.
There's actually no drama at all. Chris is already top qualified with his 6.02 and he's just fitted a new tyre. So it's a chance to scrub it in and entertain the crowd with a massive burnout to half track. And so on Sunday, we head straight to racing. John's bike has more problems, so for 3 rounds of racing, it'll be Chris against Mark.
Matheson over near the wall, and he almost gets it. Mark Drew on a hell of a run here, 6.54 at 207 miles per hour. That is a very, very solid pass.
Great run for Mark, though. 6.54 puts him up 1-0. Chris is no stranger to dragging his bike along the wall, but thankfully not today. You've probably noticed you don't actually steer these bikes. They just tend to go where they want to go. Round 2, and Mark doesn't show up. So it's a solo run for Chris. Conditions are perfect, so Chris decides to hot it up and chase that 5.
They hopped it up.
But hey, a win is a win, which leaves us 1 apiece.
On paper, you'd have to think Chris Matheson, he's got the advantage here. But in reality, Mark Drew has gone down the track today with a 6.4 second pass, I think it was. And Chris Matheson, he's really struggled today.
They still have one more pass here for the final of Top Fuel Motorcycle. Mark Drew on the Harley.
We've seen a 6.02 out of Matheson already today. Mark Drew has been right there with him. Straight up in tyre smoke for Matheson. Mark Drew is out in front. I don't think Chris Matheson's going to have enough real estate to get around him. And a 6.69 for Mark Drew. That's an upset, although did he get a timing block?
He sure did, and thus snatches a magnificent defeat from the jaws of victory. That is the fickle nature of Top Fuel Nitro bike drag racing. So Chris wins.
Congratulations, you did win top bike, and a Christmas tree is all yours. Well done.
Thanks very much, that's great. I really appreciate it. Thanks for Marky, we actually got there first, but someone's obviously crossed the line. But to all the organisers and all the help that make this thing happen, the track, the officials, all the volunteers, all my team, the sponsors, well done. Thanks very much.
So there you are. Despite a pretty ordinary day on Sunday, Chris wins the event. As a little postscript, of all things, he's copped a stone in the eye on the way back on the return road and won't actually be able to drive his truck to Darwin. It's the little things, you know. So there you are. That's the 2022 Bursons Top Bike Championship. Once again, Chris is national champion for the 8th time. No one can disagree that he's been the dominant figure in this sport for over a decade. It is a remarkable achievement. But at the same time, even though he's bagged a handful of 6.0s all over the country, including that pass when he was off the throttle for almost half a second and still ran a 6.1, the 5 continues to elude him. It'll happen. Special thanks to the dedicated crew, Phil from Performance Wholesale in Brisbane, Mick, Jamie, J-Pack, and of course Jack at Cycle Drag for the support. Make sure you stay tuned to the Nitro Voodoo YouTube channel and website to see what happens next. Thanks for watching. See you next time.